Thou shalt understand maintenance. So we're over here on E-Trade. We're going to use Cornerstone as our first example. And as we can see on E-Trade, Cornerstone is 30% maintenance. And your broker will assign a maintenance requirement based on the volatility of the stock. The riskier the stock, the bigger mover the stock is, most of the time, that's going to be a higher maintenance requirement. So since Cornerstone is tied to the index and it's a relatively safer stock, that's why it has a lower maintenance requirement of 30%. So what that means to you is for every dollar you put in, E-Trade is going to give you basically $2.3 to add to the dollar you put in for a total requirement of 3.3. So we'll go over here to Google just so that we can kind of put this out for you guys to see. So you can see here, $1 you're putting in there, the minimum margin requirement, which is the 30%, gives us the maximum leverage ratio of 3.3. 3.3. So 30% times 3.3 gives us that 100%. So basically we'll see here for every dollar we put in, 30% maintenance capital represents 30% of the total position value. So you're putting 30% of your own money in, and E-Trade's giving you the remaining 70%. 70%. So just so that you guys can see that, out there for your eyeballs. Let's take a look at Ulti, for example. So Ulti is a 50% requirement. So the reason for that, like I just said, is Ulti is a little bit more high beta than Cornerstone because Ulti is small caps and it's a little bit more volatile. So E-Trade doesn't want to give you as much leverage and you get hurt so badly. So that's why they're going to give you less leverage to buy something like Ulti. So we saw that Cornerstone is 30%. So basically it's 1 to 3. With Ulti, it's going to be 1 to 2. So for every dollar you put in, E-Trade's going to give you $1 on top of that. So it's basically 1 to 2. And then if we look at something like Misty or MicroStrategy, you see here it's 100% maintenance. That's because Misty and MicroStrategy are very volatile. They're somewhat riskier stocks. So that's why E-Trade's not going to give you any leverage to buy something like Misty or MicroStrategy. So what that means, if you put $10,000 into your account and you buy Misty, you're only going to be able to buy $10,000 worth of Misty. Whereas if you were to put $10,000 in an account and buy, all Ulti, you'd be able to buy $20,000 worth of Ulti. And just the same with Cornerstone, if you had a $10,000 account and you wanted to use full leverage, you could buy $33,300 of $333.33 of Cornerstone. So another thing to think about as well is, obviously the leverage is, how much you could buy, but understanding maintenance and really wrapping your head around this fully is how it's going to affect your available for withdrawal. So margin, when you're using margin, the name of the game is, basically survival. If you're adding leverage, the worst thing that can happen is to get that margin call because then basically you're forced to sell at the bottom. You lose the control of what you're owned. And then when the stocks go back up, you're left out. So what these will do to your maintenance requirement or what these will do to your available for withdrawal. So let's say you bought $10,000 worth of Cornerstone and Cornerstone drops $1,000. Your available for withdrawal is only going to go down by $333. It's only going to go down by $333. Whereas if you had something like Ulti, you had $10,000 worth of Ulti and the stock drops $1,000, your available for withdrawal is only going to drop $500. And then MicroStrategy and Misty, this is like my other video. If you had $10,000 of Misty and Misty goes down $1,000, your available for withdrawal is going to go down $1,000. So you can see the higher maintenance stocks is going to affect your available for withdrawal faster. Here the catch-22 is when you add leverage to something like Cornerstone or when you add leverage to something like Ulti, so instead of buying $10,000 worth of Ulti, you buy $20,000 worth of Ulti. Let's just say it goes down 10%. Well, now your account's dropping dropping $2,000, but your available for withdrawal is going to drop $1,000. So it's going to drop proportionally, and that's why you guys need to be careful with how much leverage you're using. It's not prudent to go ahead and just go all in into everything and use all that margin. Like I said in my earlier video, I've made that mistake. So that's where you need to, really be careful and, use this stuff properly and carefully so that you can avoid those margin calls. So just going to make these videos super quick for you guys. Hopefully that's just a little bit of information and reiterating what, Todd shares in his Volume 3 e-guide over here, how to use margin. And he did give me that promo code. So if you haven't bought any of these bundles yet, you are still able to get his phone number and the Discord if you sign up, I think, for another week, he said in his most recent video. So you get a 10% discount if you use promo code Mike, M-I-K-E. So I'm just going to keep cranking these videos out for you guys. and look forward to seeing you over at the Discord and chatting with you guys on Circle. Have a good day, Floyd.